We were fed a false narrative of go to college, get a good job, save for retirement, and so on and so forth. In reality, most people have gotten into ungodly amounts of debt in order to pursue what used to be called the American dream. Anyone that has wised up has realized that all of this was just one big lie. Even when looking into the etymology of the word, capitalism is derived from capital, which evolved from capital, a late Latin word based on caput, meaning head, which is also the origin of chattel and cattle, in a sense of movable property, much later only to refer to livestock. I believe in today's economy, that's exactly how those corporations see their employees. Cattle in the market. The majority of people today are simply wage earners, which means they have to sell their labor to their employer, always exchanging their time for money. These wage earners are mostly free in a double sense. They are freed from ownership of productive assets, and they are free to choose their employer. The economic system of capitalism was never for us, but has its foundation in the Marxian capitalist mode of production, which was detailed in Karl Marx's book called Das Kapital. It is the literal system we find ourselves in today, where these massive corporations seek to increase profits and productivity while lowering costs.
Despite rising inflation, major U.S. corporations are reporting record profits as companies pass rising supply chain costs on to consumers.
Capitalism was never for the working people, and it shows today with most just barely getting by, even with working multiple jobs. There's a common misconception with people who think things have gotten more expensive over the years, or they say, my house has gone up in value since whenever, you name the date. The truth is that the dollar has lost 97% of its value since 1913, according to mainstream sources. But I would dare to say it's lost over 99% of its value by this time. This process accelerated after 1971 when President Nixon signed an executive order to take us off of the gold standard.
Accordingly, I have directed the Secretary of the Treasury to take the action necessary to defend the dollar against the speculators. I have directed Secretary Connally to suspend temporarily the convertibility of the dollar into gold or other reserve assets, except in amounts and conditions determined to be in the interest of monetary stability and in the best interest of the United States. The effect of this action, in other words, will be to stabilize the dollar.
Before this, anyone could exchange an ounce of gold for $35. But now, the Fed is able to print an unlimited amount of dollars, causing inflation of our currency. This is the reason for the price hikes in everything, and the dollar is almost completely worthless.
While it is not new for the government to print money to cover some debt, what is new is that 40% of existing US dollars have been printed in the last 12 months alone.
The economy is crashing just like the dollar, and despite what all the economists and all the other nonsensical experts say, we are currently going through a recession. It just hasn't been officially declared yet, in my opinion. The powers that shouldn't be are even trying to move away from the dollar because they know it's worthless, and there's no way that we could continue on our current trajectory. Prices have continued to go up year over year, yet wages have not. The average price for a single-family home in 1975 was $42,000, and the average wage was around $8,000 per year. Just to put this into perspective, the average new car price in 2025 was around $50,000. A car costs more today than a house did 50 years ago, and the average home price today is over $400,000. Think about it. In just 50 years, home prices have increased tenfold while wages haven't kept up. The average salary in 2025 was around $65,000, but this is based on someone making over $30 an hour. To match the buying power that the boomers had in the 70s, some sources state that we would need to have a minimum wage of $60+ an hour. This equates to over $120,000 annually just to match the $8,000 a year your parents and grandparents made in 1975. We can go on and on about this, but this is a real-world example of how wages aren't keeping up with the cost of living and people are feeling the pinch. The national consumer debt, including their homes, credit cards, auto loans, and student loans, reached an all-time high of $18.6 trillion. I don't even think most of us can even fathom how much a trillion is. Just to put this into some perspective, I will give this example.